There is a climate disaster happening in California, and there are lots of fires. How do people handle these tragedies?
We have been speaking to many of you for a period of time about what we call the Mother Source Creation Grid. And this is a grid of energy. It is a pathway, a communication, a highway of sorts that takes place on a deep organic level in which you are able to spend time in and moving through this grid into what we would call the 0 point space over a particular geographical location in which you can bring large amounts of energy to a certain space in order for it to begin to receive love and for it to come back into harmony and into balance. What has happened is that you are also deeply inundated by so much tragedy, upheaval, changes, and shifts that are taking place on your planet that, unless it is happening to you on a personal level, there is often a disconnect that takes place. And we recognize that you cannot be sending energy to all places around the globe all the time, for there is always something taking place. And yet, if you feel a pulsation or a connection to something that is taking place where there is disruption within the energetic field, you can jump on this highway and move across it into a particular location or space and send energy to start to bring balance to a spot where energy is disruptive. Now, these disruptions that are taking place around fire are going to continue, unfortunately, on many levels. And for some who find themselves in the grips of this difficulty, there is a great loss of so much. The purification, the transformation of great change at the deepest level, and sadly, a sense of much which they have gathered or accumulated or built over a period of time or in a lifetime disappears in front of them, and they are left in a state of deep vulnerability and a sense of which there is an energy of separation from what they have known. But in that process, as devastating as this can be, it is a quickened path to moving into the kernel of their own knowing, where they find the faith, the trust, the energy, the essence of their being in the rawness of the emptiness of nothing outside of self, the deep internal reflection and required energy that is found through the strength of such despair, in which they then, in the alignment with that energy, begin to attune to others who will come into their experience and communities that will gather in their own sorrow, in their own change, in their own hardship, where new communities will be born and shifts will take place. There will be many changes on your planet where many places become uninhabitable and yet new places become more habitable, as your water will be relocating itself across your planet, and the map of this particular geographical energies that you are familiar with, it shifts, including your land masses will be changing, and the edges around your continents and the water will all be moving very rapidly, which will require a need for adaptation and adjustment to circumstances at a rapid pace. However, it will be essential that all of you come together and help one another as you are moving through these shifts and changes, and come to the aid of others through a state of service and a willingness to step outside of your own comfort zone or needs, to open your arms in the most loving and generous way to support those who come into your experience experience at any given moment that perhaps you can lend a hand to through the unfolding of this process. Will these fires subside? Will they disappear? Will this shift change? No, you will be experiencing this for a period of time and they will intensify. They will amplify, and so will many of your elements. Your wind will become stronger, your waters will become faster, your earth will shake more intensely. This is part of the ascension process of the Great Mother herself. She is ascending and releasing density. She is transforming, she is transmuting, and all of her elements will be amplified in her transformational birthing process as she gives birth to what you perceive or speak of as the new earth. She will go through the process of birthing itself, which is not always pretty. It can be messy, it can be bloody, it can be shaking, there can be crying, there can be screaming. It isn't always a beautiful sight, and yet it is the most beautiful sight simultaneously. Your Earth is giving birth to a new era, a new realm. She is ascending. And through that process, through that change in which you are in this middle of right now, she is in what you would call the crowning moment. There is a lot of energy, a lot of pushing, a lot of shaking, a lot of changes. And as you are interconnected and woven and related and experiencing her shifts, you may have chosen to participate in that shift in alignment unconsciously with her, in which you too experience a great birth, a great change, a transformation, in which you are moving very rapidly into the rawness of your humanness and you are transcending into something new.